Are you ready for this? We're going to do a deep dive into your mind. Because after watching this video, I want you to feel like you know more about yourself and how your mind works than ever before. So you'll have a more clear path about how to clear unnecessary anxiety, stress, overwhelm, and even toxic patterns like people pleasing and attachments, and even the negative effects of trauma as well, and break free from that. But first, let's just see if this is you. Let's see if you fit this profile, and I'm pretty sure you do. You might look like you've got your shit together on the outside. You've made some pretty big wins and accomplishments. On paper, you look pretty happy and successful. People come to you when the shit hits the fan. You keep the peace, you carry the weight. People might even describe you as the most functional one in your family, which can be a curse and a blessing. I totally get it. But on the inside, your body is always bracing for impact. You feel like you're on edge, like you're always waiting for the next shoe to drop, and it feels impossible to relax. You might call it stress. You might call it busy season. You might call it overwhelm. But the truth is, your nervous system, your subconscious mind have been trained to be on high alert constantly. And it is a fast way which will lead to burnout. Now, here's the thing. It's probably starting to really interfere with almost every aspect of your life. It's probably getting in the way of your career, maybe even your relationship, your earning potential, your confidence, your peace of mind. You can't even shut your mind off when you go on vacation. It's like it's always going ju. It might not even be interfering with your relationship with yourself. But here's something you might not realize. If you grew up in chaos, or if you were the responsible one in a home with alcoholism, substance abuse, or addiction, this will make sense because when you grow up in that type of chaos, you develop all of these coping mechanisms which once kept you safe but now hold you back. Reason why things aren't working is because you're still trying to solve adult problems with childlike resources. And this is exactly what I've helped thousands of people work through. People who look successful on the outside, but they're secretly battling in anxiety and self-sabotage on the inside. And today, I'm going to walk you through the exact process I use to help you remove those patterns which were causing the anxiety, the overthinking, and the why do I keep doing this to myself mentality. Now, I want to let you know these aren't band aid fixes either. These aren't just quick solutions. It's also not long term therapy. There's no mind altering medications or supplements, and no, you don't have to go on the next ayahuasca trip. This is just pure insight into what actually works. So let's do this. Let's dive in. So, what if I told you the anxiety, the stress, the tight chest, the racing thoughts, they're not random. They're not a flaw in who you are. They're not something you have to manage forever or that you just have to keep living with. They're symptoms. They are signals from a pattern running in the background of your mind and body. They're from stuck emotions from the past. And that pattern, it was once designed to keep you safe, but now it's backfiring. So you try to think your way out of it. You might journal, you deep breathe, you listen to binaural whales at 3 in the morning, you meditate, and then 10 minutes later, your brain is like, cool story, we're still in danger, you're still running from the bear, even though there's no bear anymore. You cannot outthink a pattern that lives in your body and your subconscious mind and your nervous system. You have to rewire it. And that's why most therapy won't help you stop feeling on edge or like you're constantly at war with yourself, like you're scanning every room for every problem that could potentially go wrong. All these patterns of stress, anxiety, the toxic coping mechanisms that may have worked to keep you safe when you were a kid, now they mess everything up and they interfere with almost every part of your life. And all of those patterns, they're actually subconscious problems. And you can't solve a subconscious problem with a conscious solution or conscious thinking. And most therapy is done on a conscious and analytical model. It might help you understand it better, but it won't solve the actual problem. To put it lightly, if anxiety were a roommate, it would never pay rent. It would leave you sticky notes everywhere that say, "Are you sure?" Yeah, we're going to evict that roommate because these are the people I'm really good at working with. So this is for you if your mind does not shut off or does not shut up. You're constantly going thinking about every possible solution or what can go wrong. It's also for you if you replay conversations, you second guess decisions, and you feel guilty for resting. It's also for you if you procrastinate or you avoid hard conversations and you just might call it timing. It's also for you if you hold it all together for everyone else and quietly fall apart alone. Again, I totally get it. This is also for you if you may have done therapy or mindset work or breath work or meditations or taken supplements, and that stuff can be helpful. It doesn't quite do the trick. And you might notice that even though you've done some of that, if you have, something still feels like it's missing or something still feels like it's kind of out of whack. But I want to be clear. There are people that this type of solution is not for. This is not for you if you just want quick tips to manage symptoms instead of removing the cause and actually working through the problem. This also isn't for you if you are the misery loves company type of person and you're like, this is just who I am and there's nothing I can do about it. This also isn't for you if you are committed to the victim story and you just want to keep those loops going because you're like, well, the trauma I've had's not my fault, so why should I put work into it? If you're not ready to take responsibility for your inner world, nothing can really help you out. And this is also not for you if you're not coachable. But if you're still here, it means that you are coachable. It means you are ready for a change, and it means you're serious about making a change and doing some inner work. And if you're still here, you're my person. So here's why most solutions stop working. Most solutions only target symptoms. Breath work, exercise, meditation supplements. Again, those are all great tools. Use them. But tools that manage a fire aren't the same as removing the fuel source. Avoiding feelings will reinforce the loop, or avoiding anything that makes you feel uncomfortable will reinforce the problem, because you probably have heard this before. What you resist will persist because your nervous system learns this feeling equals danger. So your brain keeps scanning for it over and over and over again. But your brain isn't wired for your dream life. It's not wired to help you thrive. It's only wired for survival. If calm once meant something bad might happen, your body will sabotage calm to feel familiar. We're not playing whack-a-mole with thoughts, we're unplugging the damn machine. And in case you're wondering, there are real costs of keeping these patterns going on autopilot. I've asked a lot of my clients what they think the costs are, and here's what some people said. Anxiety taxes your decision speed and your ability to execute. Missed calls, half-sent emails, projects that never finish. And some of the costs that people say is that the monetary cost, it's not small. When you're in constant fight or flight and it floods your systems, sleep gets ruined, your gut gets wrecked, your focus gets foggy, and you spend all this money in medical bills trying to correct those problems. You wake up tired after 8 hours, your body never powers down because it thinks calm is a setup for something bad is about to happen. Because if you calm or if you experience calm, it might mean that you let your guard down. It also affects your quality of life. You're physically here, but you're mentally someplace else. When you're with your partner, replaying a work conversation, or you're doom scrolling, you're at dinner and your chest is tight, life becomes something you survive instead of something that you live. And that's, my friends, what we call no bueno. And if you feel called out, good. That means your system recognizes truth. But let's be real. If doom scrolling burned calories, we'd all be Olympians. Still not a plan, still not a solution. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, okay, why, Dan, why are you qualified to help? Here's a little bit of my story. I grew up in chaos. I learned to be the responsible one, the functional one. Control meant safety. I built success out of survival. In fact, when I was just 13 years old, I started learning hypnosis and how to help people make changes. I used self-hypnosis to help overcome my own learning challenges, and I even opened up a hypnosis practice when I was a teenager. And that's what I've been doing ever since. Since then, I've traveled the world and I've helped tens of thousands of people. I was billed as the anxiety relief guide. I've written several books on the topic of hypnosis and healing and anxiety relief and stress relief. And I even train many therapists and hypnotists to do this type of work as well. But still, I would wake up some days like my body had already lost a fight. And it wasn't until a therapist told me, Dan, welcome to the world of being an adult child of an alcoholic. That's where it all made sense. That therapist thought the best solution would be to send me to an Al-Anon meeting. Now, I went for months, and every week it was the same thing. Every week, the same people who were in their mid to late 50s and 60s, they were still talking about how when they were 10 years old, When mom or dad would drink and they dump out their booze to try and prevent arguments and to try and prevent conflict, and they thought they were solving the problem. After sitting through these meetings and just hearing about how people were still dwelling on the past and trauma dumping, but they weren't doing anything about it, I was like, oh my gosh, there has to be a better way than just sitting here trauma bonding with all these people. So I stopped trying to convince my brain with logic. And I stopped going to these meetings that were more toxic than an oil spill in the Caribbean. And I started learning how I can actually use subconscious communication, hypnosis, nervous system work to finally break free from those patterns that were fucking up my life, my relationship, that were messing with my business, my peace of mind, and even my family. So after a few years of refining my process, working with other colleagues, I started speaking to the subconscious mind directly and retraining the nervous system so peace felt safe again. So I developed a process. I blended modern hypnosis with psychosensory and psychosomatic work, energy psychology, rational emotive principles, shadow integration, identity work, values elicitation. Now, this is not therapy. It's not traditional hypnosis either. It's a modern integrated approach that clears the emotional charge and it rewires the pattern that keeps recreating success. That's why a lot of people come to me even after going to other hypnotists or therapists and they'll say, how come it worked with you, but it didn't work with all these other people? Well, it's because of the integrated, refined approach that I use. I overcame my own toxic patterns and I started helping other people do the same. In this program, it became known as my break free method. Now, the break free method, it has three pillars, three things that's really important for you to understand. This is the exact process I've used with thousands of clients. And these three pillars, they're simple, they're deep, they're repeatable. So, pillar number one is deep discovery. It's important that we start with a powerful foundation. In this phase, we're doing a deep dive into your mind, into your belief systems, your values, your identity. We locate where the survival map got written and not to relive the pain, but to find the instructions your system and your mind were following. We surface the unconscious beliefs that run the show, examples like calm is unsafe, love must be earned, I have to work hard in order for people to respect me. And when you see the code, you can change it. This is also where we start planting seeds of how to move out of the have to mentality, where everything feels like a demand or everything feels like an urgent chore. And you learn how to navigate into the choose to mentality and then to the get to mentality. This is where you start taking control, making better choices, and operating from a place of presence and gratitude instead of stress, pressure, and demand. Pillar number two is where we disarm the charge. This is where we clear the emotional core so your body stops reacting like a siren is going off all the time. I use modernized hypnosis, psychosensory techniques, and energy psychology to downshift your nervous system and to re encode safety. This isn't just positive thinking or toxic positivity, this is a state change. When the charge drops, the loop breaks. You stop fighting yourself. You stop white knuckling through every single day. This is where every week we meet for a mental, emotional, and nervous system clearing to clear the underlying emotional core to those limiting belief systems, the stuck emotions, and the sabotaging mental problems that have actually been running the show in the background of your mind. You learn how to stop the pattern of stress and anxiety, overwhelm, and overthinking. This is where the real magic happens. Now, step number three is we lock in a secure identity. We stabilize it. We install daily micro rituals to keep your baseline calm and your edges sharp. This is where we rehearse secure attachment behaviors, clean communication, and boundaries without blowups or shutdowns. And yes, you can have boundaries without being a massive douche canoe. So don't worry about that. We reinforce the identity that kept you stuck in chaos. You're not losing your edge, you're losing the fear that drove the edge. This is a process of subtraction. We remove what's not you so the real you can show up. We make space for the real, authentic you. When the dam is gone, the river flows on its own. This is done through subconscious reprogramming, behavior conditioning, and also many other integrated processes and protocols. This is where you start using your mind for you instead of against you. So the things that used to bother you now to motivate, empower, and inspire you instead. You might be wondering now, what changes when those patterns are gone? Like, okay, so what? We do this work, what's going to change? Well, first, the morning dread will fade away. Second, the overthinking gets quiet. Next, you make decisions faster. So you no longer get stuck in that thought of, am I doing enough or am I doing the right thing? You also get things done without resistance. Like I said, you're no longer operating in the space of have to, you're operating from a place of flow where things just flow a lot easier. You grow in places where you felt stuck because you're going to be taking on more opportunities. You're no longer going to be trying to avoid everything that could potentially be uncomfortable, and you're no longer trying to put out fires. So you start growing in all those places where you used to get stuck in. Next, you move through challenges instead of getting caught up in them or avoiding them altogether. Life is still going to throw you curveballs, and it's how you handle those which is going to matter for you. I'm going to teach you how to handle any challenge that comes up. You also set a boundary and you stay connected. You're going to make space for more authentic connections in your life. You stop chasing chaos because regulation feels better than that adrenaline surge. You shift from anxious attachment to secure connection, and you're finally going to be able to be present with your partner, your team, your kids, your family, your friends. So when you go on vacation, you can actually be on vacation. So it's not like you're going to be there, but not be there at the same time. So you'll be able to be more present, more confident, more passionately enthusiastic in every single part of your life. You're going to get that edge back. You're going to get your mojo back, so to speak. And you can finally relax without feeling like relaxation is a trap. Life will seem more easier, more enjoyable, whether you don't feel like you're constantly against the world. For my people who need tangible results, this is what it can look like to get tangible results. A lot of the people who go through my program, they end up getting promotions or transitioning to better roles in their career, finally breaking that glass ceiling. Also, you can finally grow in your business if you own a business. You go from a place of flow where you operate in a place of flow instead of a place of urgency and desperation. It also means your relationships improve if that's a goal of yours. And since you stop clenching and doing everything with tension and heaviness, a lot of people notice physical symptoms of stress and anxiety that they were carrying around are going to be alleviated as well. Partners notice, teams notice, and most importantly, you notice the shifts that you'll be making as well. Because for the first time, peace will feel like home instead of a setup. You get your Sunday back and your Tuesday, and your apparently every day is an emergency calendar invites as well. So you, again, you no longer feel like you're bracing for impact going into each and every day. Now, here's how this works. My Break Free program, it starts as a 3-month deep dive for high functioning adults who grew up in chaos and who are done letting those old patterns run the show. It's a hybrid program. Depending on the level of the program you join, you get live group clearings, coaching, and targeted individual sessions, again, depending on the level of the program that you join. You get personalized hypnosis sessions and access to my on-demand inner support system so you can keep the momentum going between sessions. Here's the thing you got to know about me. I don't do fluff. I don't do busy work. You're going to have what you need and nothing you do not. Now, if this hits you in the gut, here's what you do next. You apply. There's a short application that's going to be somewhere by this video, and I read and review all applications personally. If it looks like a good fit, I'm going to send you some next steps. Now, sometimes that's a quick call or even a Google Doc or a simple page with the details. Sometimes it's a guided start into the program where I give you an abbreviated start to show you what it's like. Either way, you'll know exactly what to do, and it's also kind of depending on my schedule as well. You've carried everyone else long enough. You don't need chaos in order to be valuable. You don't need tension to be successful. You don't need to perform to be loved. This is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the chaos taught you to hide. So here's what you do. If you're ready to stop bracing for impact and start living, apply now. It's free. It doesn't take too long. And I'm going to send you a solution once I get your application. I only take the people who I'm confident I can help, that I know I'm going to enjoy working with, and the people who are coachable. And if that's you, I know I can help you with a solution. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and happy healing.